to talk a little bit around modern leadership. One of the big drivers and passions for me is affecting change and positive change in the businesses and individuals. Turns out it's not as easy to do, and a lot of my research in this space has been done to improve myself. I hope that some of this that I'll share today will resonate with you. John Maxwell has a saying that says, if you're a leader and you don't have any followers, then you're just out taking a stroll. And it's a good point of reflection for us to make sure that you as a leader, are you really making a change? And what does that mean in the new era that we are living in right now? The last couple of decades, there was a big change towards a perceived a good approach towards leadership. In the early 1900s, the predominant take was Taylorism, and I'm talking about scientific management, not the singer. Now, in this approach, pretty much you had bosses that did the thinking, and you had workers that was just executing without thinking about it at all. The leaders here were really visionaries that saw a specific problem or need and created a cash cow and built an entire empire around that. This was great from a point of view that it could scale. So you built this very deep bureaucracy and hierarchy into your organization that allowed you to have very predictable quality outcomes at scale. This was so successful that it was predominant for most of the 20th century and is persistent up to today. With the rate of change increasing, we're talking about law of accelerated returns. We see that bigger companies are finding it more and more difficult to keep up with the demand of change. We can see that in the 1950s, the S&P 500 companies had an average tenure of 60 years. Today, that is down to 20 years and decreasing. It's definitely obvious that in this world that we're living right now, that this large bureaucracy, this strong hierarchy and command control approaches is really limiting our change and slowing down the pace of change, which is giving the rise of a lot of new startups. We'll find that startups tend to rise, become big, slow down, and then kind of come to an end and move out. Well, then the new startup comes in, grows, start becoming big, slows down, and this cycle kind of continues. It's great for new business to come in. It's bad if you're on your rise to success, because it means at some point you will run out of luck. At the core of this new leadership strategy, it's not you taking the lead and telling people how to do things. It's about a leader giving a vision and giving a direction, and then pretty much letting the teams and people loose to go and towards that on their own drive. This is very important because as a leader trying to control everything, you become a limiting factor. Your ceiling is pretty much becomes the team's ceiling. This new modern way of leadership, it's less about your expertise as a person that knows everything than you being able to step back, lead from the back of the room and saying that you're a supportive role and they are taking the front seat in managing and making this dream work. It is a very different type of approach, and it is much more focused around, distributing distributing authority. It's about enabling and empowering people to stand up and move forward. Let's take the Army as an example. They are notorious for being a command and control, top-down management process, like a leadership that's being followed over there. In the past, if there was a war going on, you'll have a mobile command center that's moving around, calling in airstrikes and doing all kind of operations. Everything managed from the central command center. This is not the case anymore. These days, troops can actually call airstrikes. It's even in this large organization like a military, it's now quite common knowledge that people that is on the ground knows what to do best. This is very important to understand, that you want to move the decision making to where the information is. You want to have strategy be done by the people that knows the strategy. You want people that makes operational decisions being done by the operational team at that point in time. Here are some important aspects to keep in mind. You have to adjust the autonomy to the capability of the team and how successful they are with it. In other words, if you have a team that's very successful and able to self-organize and do what they have to do, give them as much room as needed. If you have a team that's still struggling with this, you have to give more control and more structure and then slowly release that over time. Lead from the back of the room. It's about really thinking about servant leadership and not expert leadership. In the expert leader, you have all the answers. It's not the case over here. You have to step back and ask and just give them a supporting role. Another important thing is, in our day and age, especially where you have buzzwords like agile and everybody being very focused around that, it's important to understand that not all your company's teams have to be agile teams. All your company teams can subscribe to modern leadership strategies, but it doesn't mean that all of them have to be agile teams. Agile teams is something very specific, and I'll most probably do a video on this at one point, but it works very well in the innovation and the creative side of your business. Don't make the mistake to think that that same structure will work well in operations as well. So the right leadership strategy that you should follow is, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of information available online. There's a lot of very good books. The problem with this is there's a lot of different aspects. It's the culture of your company. It's a type of personality as you as a person, as a current leader. It is what you want to become. It's your DNA of the organization. So it's not something that you can just take a blueprint and run with. I'll give you the same advice that I was given. Go and take 2 books. There's a lot of good ones. There's Radical Candor, there's Multipliers, there's Care and Growth. There's a lot of different books out there. Go and take 2 of them that you feel is really resonating with the core of your organization and who you are. And then start experimenting by including 1 or 2 of the aspects at a time and slowly improving, experimenting and refining and building the model that's very specific towards your strategy and your environment. Sadly, there's no silver bullet in this space, but we have a lot of good content around that. So start off by reading, start off by asking questions, and start formulating your own leadership blueprint for where we want to be in the future. Thanks everybody, have a good time.